Relapsing fucking sucks. I know that because I've fallen in that trap literally hundreds of times. Luckily for me, however, I also got to learn a lot of valuable lessons along the way. My name is Danny Banchev. I'm the founder of the Off Porn Academy, and I started watching porn at 9 years old. The first time I ever seriously tried to quit was at 13 years old, and ever since that moment I have relapsed more times than I can remember. You would think that I would learn from those mistakes, right? Well, technically yes, but it took me hundreds of failures and years to discover the lessons I'm about to share with you. So my purpose today with this video is to share 3 steps on how to turn the curse of relapsing into your greatest blessing. So the next few minutes will be separated into 2 different sections. The first one, we're going to talk a little bit about what relapsing actually is, and in the second section I'm going to share the 3 steps with you. So if you're watching this, I'm assuming you've gone through the pain of relapsing at least once in your life. You would probably know what I mean when I'm talking about the absolutely dreadful feeling of not feeling in control of your own actions, followed by shame, fear, and distrust of your own mind, who once again betrayed you by tricking you in the same fucking trap. It's almost as if you're possessed by something that has taken over you, right? And despite all of that pain, it's almost as if something whispers inside of your ears, we already failed, might as well do it again, right? You're not alone, my guy. We've all been there. But what if I told you that there's actually a way out of that suffering? Matter of fact, it's so obvious, your mind will probably want to classify it as irrelevant. So let me ask you a very important question. How do you define relapsing? It's like if something is causing so much pain in our lives, we better be able to identify what it is, right? I actually invite you to pause this video right now and reflect. Think about quickly a definition of relapsing. It's like so often we search for external solutions while the root of our suffering was just a misinterpretation of a few words. For example, in the previous video called Why You Shouldn't Resist Watching Porn, we defined addiction as a progressive narrowing of the stuff that gives you pleasure. In that way, there's much more clarity and it's way more actionable. So now, here's how I define relapsing. It's the act of breaking a promise. That's it. If you decide in advance that you'll masturbate in 5 days, and then you do, that's not relapsing. But if for whatever reason, you decide to masturbate on the 3rd day instead, that's relapsing. So guess what that means? Masturbation is not relapsing as long as it's done mindfully, meaning that it's your choice, that you kept your promise. But then again, brother, let's be real. How many times have you broken a promise in other areas of your life? Do you know anyone who's never broken a promise? Isn't there a risk of uncertainty, constant change, instability, broken promises, confusion, and disappointment every time you jump into the unknown? Which, by the way, is the only place where growth can happen. You cannot grow in the known. By definition, you have to step into something new to grow. Listen, the problem with making yet another grandiose promise after you've just broken one is that it's just an unconscious attempt to escape the pain of responsibility. You lost control, it hurts like a bitch, and that's okay. We've all been there more times than you can imagine. Embracing it fucking sucks, but pretending like you'll never do it again will end up sucking even more. We're all human, my friend. The best we can do is try our best. But even then, we will fuck up sometimes. And by the way, that's okay. It's not about never breaking a promise. That would be not being human. It's about how you respond when you do. So here are 3 steps on how to turn the curse of relapsing into your greatest blessing. Step number 1, identify your relapse triggers in your external environment. What do I mean by that? Note down when and where you tend to relapse most often. In my case, it was right after lunch in the afternoon slump, especially because it was my first meal of the day, so I just had a crush in energy. Another time, obviously, like most of us, is right before going to sleep. So where did it happen most often? Well, in my bed or in the bathroom. Now, step number 2, recognize your mental emotional patterns, meaning the state you're in, the internal state, when it happens. So note down how you tend to feel about an hour in the last hour before a relapse. What emotions or mental perspectives or thoughts you tend to experience most often when it happens. In my case, it was a foggy brain. I couldn't really focus. I was tired. I lacked inspiration and I was distracted for my long-term goals. And step number 3 is you identify the opposite state. So literally note down when you feel the exact opposite of your relapse state. To give you a frame of reference, these are moments where the idea of watching porn literally becomes irrelevant. So in my case, it was when I was feeling energized, grateful, inspired, and it often happened during a long walk or when I consumed inspiring content. Now, I said there are 3 steps, but surprise, there's actually a 4th one. I'm sorry, hopefully a little bit more value wouldn't hurt you. So step number 4, actually the most important one, schedule a system of habits that will automatically prevent future relapses. What do I mean by that? Guys, this is the ultimate hack, okay? So in your calendar, you're gonna schedule a moment, a habit that will automatically put you in a positive state, so in the opposite states, the ones where porn feels irrelevant, in the moments when you would usually be most vulnerable. So remember how I used to relapse most often right after lunch or before going to sleep, and that's when I feel uninspired and tired? And how going on walks and consuming inspiring content put me in the opposite states? Here's what I did. I literally automatically created a habit of going for a long walk after lunch, listening to a podcast, and then I put an alarm at 10 p.m. every evening where my phone and all my devices would go outside of my room, and all that would be left for me to do is read an inspiring book. This reduced my relapses, literally, I'm not exaggerating, by 90%, and it's automatic. I'm telling you. This is a game changer. Alright, my people, that was all for me today. So hopefully you found that valuable, but most importantly, that you'll actually try it out. I promise you have nothing to lose. Worst case scenario, you come back to the state you're in right now, which if you're watching this, it means you have less control than what you would wish. Now, with that being said, whenever you're ready, there are 3 more ways I can help you. Number 1, if you prefer learning by reading, then you'll be happy to hear that this video you just watched is the exact script of only one of the 3 lessons I shared in this week's edition of the Triple Wisdom Wednesdays, which is my newsletter. So every week, I share 3 principles that can help you progress faster, with less pain. It takes about 10 minutes to read. It's completely free, so if you want to sign up, the link is in the description. The second way I can help you is that if you're a man and you're on a mission to become the greatest man your bloodline has ever seen, instead of settling for cheap pleasure, then you can join the #1 porn addiction brotherhood in the world right now. We're right here waiting for you on the other side. So the link is in the description as well. Last but not least, number 3, if you don't want to be left behind during the digital gold rush, then you can join the school games where 30.4% of new members make their first $1 online. You can start your free trial today. The link is in the description. Other than that, thank you all so much for listening. I'm so grateful for y'all. Much love. Take care. I'll see you here soon. Bye-bye.